All right, everyone get naked.
I wanna be the very best, like no one ever was. Each Pokemon to understand that I skipped a lyric.
Pokemon.
I will travel across the land, searching far and wide. Each Pokemon to understand. I repeated this lyric.
Pokemon!
It's you and me. I know it's my destiny.
Pokemon!
Oh, you're my best friend in a world we must defend. A heart so true, our courage will pull us through. You teach me and I'll teach you. Pokemon!
Welcome to another episode of Let's Rewatch. The show where we like to watch movies that we loved in our youth and see if they're still any good. And of course, we'd like to welcome you to year 2 of Let's Rewatch.
Wow, yeah.
And of course, as always, I'm Nick.
I'm Bret.
I'm Sam.
I'm Ash.
Am I in this?
And that's Bryce.
And today's special musical guest is Dalex Miller. Welcome, Dalex.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Yeah.
Of course.
Always welcome.
When we had the idea for, I guess Ash had the idea for which movie we would do this week. Sam's idea? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was clear that we had to have one very specific guest to help us talk about, was it Pokemon, the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back.
That's right.
From 1998.
Oh, yeah.
The fucking
Mewtwo.
balls on the people who named that movie.
Yeah, the first movie.
Yeah.
Like, they know what's
Oh,
up.
no. Mewtwo Strikes Back, right? Like, using, like, this legacy of Star Wars in a Pokemon
Oh,
thing?
yeah.
I don't know, guys. Like, that's ballsy.
Pokeballsy?
Poke-ballsy.
Oh, my
Bom, bom, bom.
This is going to be the whole episode.
Yep.
So we've all been traveling and getting married, and now we're all finally back together in the same room.
The same movie.
In the same after all of our crazy travels. So the Laugh Stash crew is all back together.
Surprise, I'm in this movie, guys.
Oh yeah, this Ash is in the movie.
I'm in this movie.
And at the risk of being cheesy, I don't say this sort of thing much, but being gone for 3 months, it really struck me that I just didn't get to see all of those movies that I wanted to see. Forget about you guys, but all the movies that were in theaters in the past 3 months, I haven't been able to see. So now it's great to be back in the country, and I've got so much catching up to do.
Thanks, Nick.
We missed you too.
Yeah.
We all
I
missed.
mean, it was pretty great being able to see all these movies alone without you.
Because I go to the movies with
Whatever.
you all the
Skip
time.
work.
I mean, it is nice that we're all back in the same room because apparently your iPad wasn't compatible with Europe.
I think we got through it pretty well.
Yeah, multiple times.
But in addition to the movies that I've missed this past 3 months, there have been, I think, 2 huge cultural events, maybe in the past month.
I know,
Definitely.
Bret and Sam got married. We said that.
You may have seen it on Twitter.
But I think July 2016 was the month of Stranger Things
Oh, yeah.
and Pokemon Go.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
The huge cultural
And
touchstones.
Ghostbusters.
Bustin' makes me feel
So that's
good.
interesting. Has Ghostbusters been a really big event here?
It
yeah,
was, but not in a good way.
yeah, not for the reasons you'd want it to
Well,
be.
before I left, there was always this ridiculous protest about the cast.
Yeah, well, it
That
like
continued.
nuclear
Yeah,
exploded.
it
all over.
exploded.
It got bad. It got
Which
bad.
just angers me, because if you're going to make a new Ghostbusters movie, well, you cast some of the best comedians from Saturday Night Live. That's what you do.
Some
And
of
that's
some
what
of the
they did.
cast got involved in bad ways, though.
Are you talking about what's her name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Leslie Jones Twitter thing?
Yeah.
We love you, Leslie.
Yeah, you're not
Yeah.
pointing fingers at Leslie. You're saying, like, people did some bad shit to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the details, but I also heard that she had racist tweets as well.
Nope.
No,
Nope.
they-
Someone photoshopped her name onto racist tweets.
Oh, okay.
And then posted
that's
them
good.
on her
You know,
account.
not
Imagine her
really
doing
good,
that.
but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no. The internet just hates Leslie Jones for some reason.
Oh, that's horrible.
Gosh, they gotta stop.
They're
being so
jelly because she's
mean.
awesome.
Drives me crazy. But yeah, let's try and focus our attention on one specific cultural touchstone, which if you were in the room right now and you're looking at Dalex dressed in his Pokemon uniform.
Yeah, I try whenever I do podcasts. I try to like dress appropriately and
Yeah,
bring
for
all
the
the
audio.
right accoutrement. So I'm wearing a Pokemon Ball beanie hat and a T-shirt that I got in 1999.
Wow, the year it came out.
Well, no, the year after it came out.
Oh, okay.
It was a subscription bonus. If you resubscribe to your Nintendo Power, they gave you options. Hey, do you want this freebie or do you want this freebie? Or you can have this other one. Well, I selected this shirt. It's a children's extra large, and I can still wear it.
Yeah, it fits you well. And you've got a Pokeball hat, so it looks like it's halfway in the middle of capturing a Dalex Pokemon.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be cool?
Swallowing your head whole.
You just gotta say only your name for the next hour.
Dalex.
So I'm at a little bit of a loss here. Like, usually I like to put some context to the movies that we're about to watch. I am starting as close to zero as possible as anybody could with Pokemon.
Okay.
I don't know Pokemon.
Really?
I have not played any Pokemon game. I've not played Pokemon Go. I've not seen any Pokemon TV show or movie or anything. Looking at this through IMDb, it's all of the directors and voice actors are just like, well, they were involved with the Pokemon TV series. There's not much other context. So, Dalex, give us some context for Pokemon.
This movie was first released in Japan about a year before, and it hit American shores almost just a
Like a
little...
tsunami.
Like a tsunami, a Mewtwo-nami. It was...
Pokemon.
I mean, it's funny because, like, being as that I was a humongous fan of Pokemon at the very inception, like,
Which would be when?
it was September.
Yeah, is that during pregnancy? Or
Yeah, it was. I got incepted
first trimester.
with a Mew embryo. No, it was. I realized inception is probably the wrong word to use here.
For the thing you were just describing, yes.
Okay. But it launched in America in September of 1998. And
You say this, the TV show, the movie, the game.
The
like
game.
What came first? The game?
the game truly came first. And for some of those lucky,
the card game.
no, the
Game
The
Boy
Game Boy.
Game Boy.
Game Boy Color.
OG
Well,
Game Boy.
Well,
it
there was.
It technically, I think, predated Game Boy Color by a couple months. I
It
could
did.
be wrong.
No, it did.
Okay, so you had your regular old Game Boy Pocket
Without a backlight.
without a backlight, which was probably the
Not
worst
played in the
experience.
dark.
The Game Boy Pocket,
time.
the only Game Boy that never could fit in a pocket.
I mean, unless you were like wearing
OG Game
XXL.
Boy wasn't
Well,
going in no pockets.
You could, because Janko jeans.
Yeah, I did wear those. I had a lot of those. I had ones that were 50 inches around the bottom. I had lots of friends in school, guys. Lots, not even remotely true. So yeah, 1998. The game is released. Some people like myself got, without any warning, in the mail a VHS of a promotional, basically infomercial that lasted approximately 10 to 15 minutes that had terrible acting in it, and it just outlined this is this craze that's going to sweep your nation in a little bit. And I was like, this looks great. I'm going to definitely play this game.
That's a great way of building hype. Like, hey, you guys are going to be really excited about this soon.
And I ate it up.
Yeah.
And I had my mom go out and buy a blue version while I was at school the day that it came out. And I came home and was like, my birthday's in a month. Can I just play it now? Do I have to wait? And she's like, okay. All right, you can play. And so I started playing. And then it was just, it was...
bribe.
It was a phenomenon, and yeah, they translated the movie from Japanese to American, obviously. English, I should say. Whatever. American English.
God bless this
America.
Pokemon I'm about to catch.
Oh no, they evolve. They're blasphemous. You don't want them.
They're taking all our moms.
They're taking all the bones. And yeah, so it was the coolest part about the movie for me was all the shit that came out with it. Like if you went to see it in the theaters, they'd give you a free card. There was like 4 cards that you could get.
Oh,
a Dragonite
from the card game, right?
Yes, and they were only attainable if you went to movie theaters. You get Electabuzz, you get Dragonite.
Oh shit! I so remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember the other 2?
Too.
I'm blanking at the moment, but there's 2 other ones.
You got to remember them all.
Mewtwo was one of them, and then I don't know what the last one was. You got to remember them all. I see what you did there. And then Burger King did this huge promotion.
Oh my god!
Where they gave out.
Oh, they had the Pokemon burgers with the ground Pokemon meat.
That's disgusting.
No,
but the
they
opportunity they missed was coloring their buns red on the top and white on the bottom, which they've flashed forward 2 years later, which is disgusting to me. No, they gave out little plastic Pokeballs that killed 2 infants.
What?
Yeah, it's
Why
true. That's
would
why they discontinued them during that like month-long promotion of like
Were they little or were they big? The ones that I got were big.
the infants or the Pokeball.
No, the Pokeballs.
The infants you got were pretty
Pokeballs
big.
are pretty big. No, but there were like 59 different Pokemon that you could get in these little balls. You never knew what you were gonna get.
Oh, I remember those.
Yeah.
See, I don't remember that one. I remember you could get the gold-plated Pokemon card.
That was a separate thing during the same time.
Okay.
So you bought a Happy Meal or whatever their equivalent is.
Yeah.
You get a free toy. It's a mystery toy. You open up your Pokeball. It's whatever.
Man, we had the best fucking Happy Meal toys in the
Hands
90s, right?
down.
Like Beanie Babies and Pokeballs and shit. What do they get nowadays?
Oh, it's probably
It's
poop.
bad.
It's probably just poop in a bag.
They're real cheap.
Oh, man.
Right, but what's the toy that comes with it?
In the poop?
The meal is clearly poop in a bag.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. But so, yeah, actually just literally this week sold one of my original keychains from that Burger King promotion for like $9 on eBay.
Wow.
I was like, well, it didn't cost me anything to have that, so
And I just gave you a new one.
yeah.
That really paid off.
Yeah, right? 20 years later almost.
All you
$10
gotta do is hold on to that junk, boys and girls.
Just like my T-shirt. Anyway, so Pokemon was a great big deal, and it's weird to me that there was really like they did this movie, and then the other 2 that came out in theaters didn't really find the footing that this first one found, or at least they didn't promote in the way that I thought.
Now, am I seeing that the TV show started in 1998?
Yes,
and
in
is
America.
still running to this day.
As far as I know, yeah, I think so.
19 years.
Yeah, there's a lot of episodes.
They have
Yeah,
different,
and each
like,
season is like 40 episodes.
There's a lot of Mons.
There's a lot of Mons, and they feature one Mon pretty much every episode. It's obnoxious. Like the first, you can watch like the first season, which is like 40 plus
40,
episodes on Netflix, and then they flash forward to like the X and Y. But there have been so many generations of the game. I think we're up to generation like 7 now or something, and a new one coming out in November. So it's like,
Is that Sun and Moon this November?
yes, correct.
If you haven't already gotten any context, dear listener, for how much Dalex likes Pokemon,
You're a
I'm gonna tell
Pokemon
this
historian.
story where we did a shoot where the characters end up playing Pokemon at the end of the sketch, and I said, Dalex, will you bring Pokemon cards? And he not only brought Pokemon cards and knew all of the rules, but you had like what is it called? Like a mat?
A player's mat, yeah.
player's mat.
You have a
that he,
Pokemon
like,
player's
laid
mat?
Out. Yeah.
They come with like every boxed, like pre-packaged box deck that you buy.
Okay, I was like, couldn't believe that you like went out and found one.
Oh no, they're
No.
they're
Okay.
very readily available.
I
Okay.
tried to find one later when we did a reshoot just to get like an insert, and it
Oh,
was like so
no.
hard to find.
Oh gosh,
But
I should have told you.
And did
Yeah.
you lose Alex's phone number?
You know what's really, really sad? So I moved out of my apartment recently, and I had a
Aw.
whole night. No, that's not even the worst part. Where I was just like in the dumps, and I came out of it quickly. But for one night, I realized that. So in moving out, there were like a couple things that I was like, I'm gonna get those tomorrow, no big deal. But they left the unit open, and overnight, I mean, within like 12 hours, somebody came in and grabbed some of my shit,
aw.
and it's my own dumb fault. But like I lost probably 8 decks.
Oh no!
But I still have quite a few. So
you
I still
Poke
have
cried?
34 decks.
yeah, no, not that many. I had some big Poketeers. I told my girlfriend, I was like, hey, I just found out that some shit was stolen from me, and I didn't think it was. So I'm just sad right now. So I'm just gonna like go be with my thoughts.
Aw.
And then, I worked it out. But in my mind, if just somebody because I wanted to donate some stuff anyway. If somebody got it that like is gonna actually
Has
use
some
it,
joy.
yeah, then I'm totally fine with it. If some asswipe is like selling them at like the local pawn shop, I'm gonna be pissed.
Selling them for like 50 cents each.
Yeah, I mean,
and
they're
just
not worth anything.
That wasn't even worth the crime.
Yeah, I still have my hollow Charizards. They didn't get that, losers.
Ooh.
They
And
didn't even
also
steal the good
something
stuff.
I discovered through that shoot was way more expensive than I thought it was. I went to buy because it was vital for the shoot was to have a foil Charizard.
Yeah.
And like I went to go buy one at this comic book store, and I was like, "Holy shit! It's how much? Never mind. Do you have another card? I can. Do you have a normal Charizard that I
That's
can?"
not foil.
Do you have anything that looks like a Charizard?
I think I bought like a different edition, but I didn't realize that the first edition Holo Charizard was so. And I remember owning one of those, but
Yeah.
fuck, I don't know where it is anymore.
I remember
Sorry, Brett's mom. I said fuck.
Yeah, my mom texted me today. I was like, "Hey, I love your show, except that you guys shouldn't say fuck. It ruins the mood."
Are you gonna edit that one out?
Hopefully not.
Well, consider it mood ruined for this one. Sorry, Mom. Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
So is this? Was it 1 year of the TV show immediately followed by a movie?
Yeah,
How
I
did
mean,
that work?
basically the narrative of the show, I believe, led up to, and even in the movie, there's kind of a recap of like what you need to know about Mewtwo before you get into like the actual.
Good.
Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
need all that.
Yeah, but it basically was the Indigo League. And it was like Ash gets his Pokemon. He gets, his Charmander, his Squirtle, his Bulbasaur, and a bunch of other crap.
Man, I remember when I first got my Squirtle.
And then
So, are you sure there was only a year between it coming out in the U.S. and the movie? Because I feel like
a little over a year, yeah.
I played the game for years and watched the show for years, and then finally the movie came out.
I'm telling you, because the movie came out sometime in November of '99.
Really?
And yeah, so I mean, granted, for me personally, like they started airing the TV show right, like just a little bit before. I don't know how long before, but a little bit before like the game came out, and I would wake up every morning.
Me
Like,
too.
at like 6 a.m.
Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was like daily. They aired it
Yeah.
in the St. Louis area daily. So I would get up before school. I would sit there with like cold cereal and just watch this crap that I didn't understand yet, and then go to school. And
That
my mom
was
was
me,
like,
except it was MASH.
"Mash in the morning?
Yeah.
Wow."
Anyway.
Am I the only one who
Understand?
watched Mr. Wizard?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait,
What's
Sorry.
Mr. Wizard?
Science. It's science guy.
Is it like Beekman?
Like Bill
He like
Nye?
did cool
It's
like science
sort of
shit
like
on
Bill
TV.
Nye the Science Guy, but roll it back 10 or
Oh.
15
Yeah,
years.
he was like, let's do some cool science shit, and like, here's electricity sparking, whatever.
Was this like a PBS situation?
kind of that sort of vibe.
It had that vibe, but it,
was
wasn't
like
on PBS.
The scientist guy, and there's always a
Maybe it
kid or
was.
two with him, and he's teaching the kids about science. One time he cooked a hot dog by running electricity through it.
Weird. It sounds familiar. The name sounds. I can't picture this dude at all, though.
So I'm looking at IMDb. So the movie came out in Japan in July 1998,
Yeah.
but in the U.S. it was November 1999.
There you go.
So that might be the delay you're thinking of.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were a fart ton, Mom, of episodes that aired leading up to this spectacle.
I remember watching the episode where Ash is gonna leave Pikachu with my brother,
Oh, yeah.
and
I
we were
remember that one.
like crying. Like there's that long shot of him on the road and Ash walking away, and we legit were like crying.
It's like Harry and the Hendersons when they made him go back into the woods.
Was that in the movie or the TV show?
It's more like the
movie.
end of that
Movie.
Hulk movie with like the sad music. And
Looks sad.
My girlfriend and I just watched the Charmander episode. It's like pretty early on in the series.
Oh, where he's in the rain.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, and like
damn,
this,
Sam, you remember.
Well, also my brother and I talk about it a lot.
Oh yeah.
True.
If there's contender for top Pokemon fan, it would be Sam's brother.
Yeah.
Is like
Yeah.
super Pokemon
You and
fan.
You and
He
him.
would give me a run for my money. I'm certain of it.
Because he's like read all the comics and
That's
like
beyond me.
knows all the backstory and like
And he bought this modded cartridge where everybody's a zombie.
What?
Yeah, and
That's amazing.
Where did we invite him to go? We invited him to something the other
Magic,
day,
play
and it was
magic
like,
cards.
"Come hang out. We're gonna like have like a party." And he's like, "Nah, I just got this cartridge, and I'm gonna sit home and play it. And I know that's weird, but it's everyone's zombies, so
So cartridge meaning what? Game Boy Advance?
He bought a Game Boy Advance, a modded Game Boy Advance cartridge where all the Pokemon, I guess, are like zombie Pokemon.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
In his defense, though, he is the reason why I still have my original red version.
Yeah.
And I just got it back last week, and I'm so stoked.
Yeah, but how's the
So-
battery?
It's dead. I had caught every Pokemon, and it's dead.
Wait, really?
There's
Yeah.
shops that'll put a new battery in that cartridge for you.
Yeah, I know.
that won't
There's a
recover
battery
your
in the
Pokemon.
cartridge?
It won't.
All of your game saves were dependent on a battery back then.
Yep.
They didn't
battery
have flash
backed up,
memory.
yeah.
Same with N64.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
that battery
fart.
dies.
You mean if I
lose all
put in
your
my
saves.
Ocarina of Time now?
It's dead.
no.
Maybe, but not certainly.
Yeah. I don't know if you can swap the battery out and have it.
I don't.
No?
The second it loses power, it wipes the memory.
Ooh.
It's like that episode of Seinfeld where George had the top score in the arcade machine
Oh, yeah.
and he didn't want to unplug it.
Didn't he
Yeah.
push it across the street?
Yeah, they rigged a
Yeah.
generator so they could roll it across the street. Yeah.
That's so funny.
I
That's a great
totally
episode.
remember that.
So, okay. Oh, before we move on, so you're saying the memory is wiped on my Ocarina of Time, and if I put it in, I can never save it again?
You can play the game and you can hit save, but as soon as you turn off your Nintendo,
It's
Yeah,
gone.
Yeah.
it resets.
Oh, that makes those things useless.
Well, go to one of those game shops. They can put a new battery.
Yeah, it's just a
in it.
watch
Yeah.
Oh,
battery.
no, I'm not gonna play it again. I just was like, there's no value to them, right? Like,
Yeah, I just
Some
bought
of
one
them.
this summer for like $30.
You just unscrew the back and you put in a new watch battery, and then it'll work again for 10 years.
I'll be damned.
Yep.
Don't be sad.
No,
You
I'm
lost your ocarinas.
just
Or
more or
buy
less.
it for the Wii.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's Nintendo's like, hey, we can resell you games that you definitely already have.
Did you see the new one? The mini Nintendo? that
Oh,
released?
I cannot wait.
I'm probably the only person in the world who thinks Nintendo's a bunch of asshats because this technology was available to us in 2007.
Yeah.
Because I had one of those plug and play, like,
Well, they had the Atari ones, right? Yeah.
I'm
My
like,
dad had
you guys
that.
waited this long to put this out? For shame.
Well, it's Nintendo. There.
I totally agree.
I think it's a product cycling thing. Like the Wii U has had its chance to sell and hasn't, and this is like mid release. So they're gonna hawk all their old games before they release the NX, which is probably gonna fail. Sorry, Nintendo.
no, it's gonna fail hard.
But yeah, it's just mid product cycle.
That's really intelligent, and you're probably completely accurate. All right, I'm okay with it now because I understand why. I didn't understand why they were doing it before, and I just get so frustrated. But now it makes sense.
And so now there's a lot of conversation. Maybe they're waking up to this whole building third party apps for other systems, like
They are
iPhone and
so
Android apps.
not.
You don't think
Nintendo's
they'll ever
a bunch of
engage with
fucking
that?
idiots.
See?
Now they
believe that.
made a lot of money off of this.
They
Pokemon
didn't
Go.
do it.
Yeah, it's Niantic.
Sure, but still, Niantic would develop the game, but
And Pokemon Company helped make the game.
and Nintendo owns a big percentage of all that.
They own 30% of Pokemon Company.
Right.
So they don't even own a controlling share of the company whose idea it was to do it. Like,
Yeah, and then that's only 30% of one of the companies involved, so it's not even.
I mean, it's still huge for everyone involved, but
Yeah.
like, but I would be willing to bet that if Nintendo had their way, Pokemon Go wouldn't have happened.
But now that it has, you have to wonder if they'll start thinking about other ways of publishing content.
I mean, I wish. I don't have any faith in them anymore.
I feel like that's their only route to a future. But they've said, many times they're not a game company, they're a nostalgia company.
Oh, wow.
And I don't really see how you bring Mario to a touchscreen device. Maybe there's a path there that I don't see. Pokemon just really worked. This whole augmented reality thing just really freaking worked.
Yeah.
I'd actually really love to see a Mario version of Rayman Run.
Totally.
I would be so down with that.
I thought you were going to say a Mario version of augmented reality.
running around, jumping on bricks.
Everything's the same except everybody's wearing overalls.
My only response to that is parkour.
Parkour iPhone game.
Oh my God, let's do this. Let's do this thing. Hardcore parkour with Mario.
I'm still waiting for my Nintendo theme park with
I would love that.
IRL
Oh, yeah.
Mario Kart racing. So
Oh yeah.
They kind of did that, but in virtual sense for the Wii. They did like the
not
Nintendo.
Oh right,
IRL.
the Nintendo Land.
So not only have I not seen this movie,
Uh-huh.
I have not heard of this movie. I didn't know there was a Pokemon movie.
That's
I
funny.
haven't seen this. I haven't heard of it. I don't give a fuck about it. Why are we doing
You
this?
people are boring me.
Who talked you
Over.
into doing this?
So if we talk about expectations, I am clean slate here. And I think this is probably not going to rock my world
I don't think you're gonna like it.
Yeah, probably not.
because I don't have the context of the games. I don't have that fan base. And it seems like it's, probably one decent cartoon show turned movie that is probably not going to engage with me. That's my guess.
It's probably gonna be 75 minutes of torture.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like I remember this movie and Pokemon, and like Pokemon was a big part of all of our childhoods.
Very much.
Yeah.
But
Except mine.
I have
I was playing Kirby and Mario.
I have memories, but no good memories of this movie. This is my thought. Is like I feel completely stale about my Pokemon movie experience.
So what does that say about your expectations for tonight?
That's where I'm getting to. Is I think that because I've I don't want to say accidentally watched, like it popped up on the internet and I watched several minutes of an old episode of Pokemon, and that's still kind of fun. But I don't think this movie's gonna be that great.
Oh man, we got us some shit brewing
All
here.
right.
What do you think, Ash? What are you expecting?
So I definitely have the nostalgia memories for this movie, and I'll tell you why. I used to babysit these two kids, and they were great kids, and this was like their favorite movie. And so we would watch this movie regularly. But not only that, like they would love to just have it on the background. So we could be doing something else and they would just love to they would have it on the background and play music at the same time. Like it just always had to be on. So I have like very, good memories with this movie. I think a lot of them might be nostalgia. I did watch the TV show a little bit, but I didn't watch it a lot for obvious reasons. I kind of have a grudge against Pokemon because I get that fucking thing all the time. Like, hey Ash, where's Pikachu? So I think this is going to be 75 minutes of me going, did someone call me? Did my name? What? Oh, no. Was the TV? Okay. But I loved the card game. I will say I loved the card game when it came out. I was like huge into it. I played the game a little bit, but I didn't have a Game Boy. I got a Game Boy pretty late. So I did play it. I enjoyed it, but the card game was the thing that I really loved. Because cards, that was a little easier to purchase. You just purchase one of the little small packs here and there. So I remember with all the neighborhood kids, we would all like get together and play Pokemon. And then from there, I went to Magic the Gathering and got into Magic the Gathering. But so I have fond memories of Pokemon. I remember enjoying it. I don't think I'm as into it as Dalex is. I'm not wearing a Pokeball hat, but I
challenge
also
you to try.
Yeah, I also enjoyed Pokemon Go. So until my whole account was wiped by the update. Yay, update. So I think I'll enjoy it for nostalgia reasons, but I think similar to DuckTales, I think this is a movie made for children, and I don't know if I'll get much out of it.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I'm
think-
curious.
I'm expecting kind of the same thing with DuckTales as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I am curious because I do remember, like Sam was saying, I remember emotionally being wrenched at the end of this movie.
Will it
so
be
we'll see.
a DuckTales or will it be a Goofy movie?
Yeah, we'll have to see.
What are you
It's not-
expecting?
It's not going to be a goofy movie, guys. I'm sorry. I have a more vivid memory of talking with my friend's parent after coming out of the theater about how much he hated this movie.
Oh, no.
And I remember of the actual movie. So I don't know. I think it's going to bring back a lot of awesome childhood memories. Like, this is how I spent my summers for like 4 or 5 years. You know,
Or
playing-
just 1 year, apparently.
Well, the first year,
Indiscriminate
but
amount of time.
every
Yeah,
summer
remember,
I would
this
pick,
is the first movie.
yeah. Every summer I'd pick
Mewtwo
back up
Strikes
my
Back.
Game Boy and play my red version until I literally caught them all. So I think it's going to be really nostalgic. Is it going to be a good movie? Probably not. But I think I'll enjoy
Wow.
reliving that.
Is everybody just kind of like afraid it's going to be a bad movie? I want to know.
Well, let's
Dalex.
see. Yeah.
If we listen to each other's hearts, we'll find we're never too far apart. And maybe love is the reason why. It's not going to be a Goofy movie. For the fact that Tevin Campbell didn't sing a song in this movie. Sorry, did you guys do a Goofy movie on
We
this?
did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we did that with Hector Navarro, who loves Goofy movie as much as you love Pokemon.
I love the Goofy
And
movie.
we all went into
Yeah.
Goofy movie with like, I don't know about this. And it was like,
It was really
great.
fucking magical.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
magical. Especially all the 2 songs by Powerline.
Oh, yeah.
No,
I remember a good song in this one, too, though.
Is there?
I think there's a good song.
It's the theme song.
No, I think it's the ending song.
This, for me, I have 0 expectations because I don't remember the movie at all. Like, I couldn't tell you one thing that happened. I saw it in the theaters when I was a kid. And boom, that was it. That was done. I never saw it again. But to what I want to piggyback on something you were saying with these kids that would like play music over it. This is absolutely the kind of movie that I would get high to and then like just sync up whatever random music I wanted to and see how that turned out. Which I'm actually probably going to do now in the future.
Can we have a
Totally.
Pokemon party now?
Yeah. I got edibles for days, y'all. Yeah, I probably should have brought some. That'd have been cool.
You should make little Pokeball desserts.
Oh my god. Those will be the safeties. You can have edibles, but then I'll make pokey desserts
Let's do this.
that'll be safeties that anybody can
Pokeball
eat.
Jello shots.
Ooh, that's really good.
Gotta eat them all.
Yeah, so I don't know what to make of this, but I'm very excited to watch it again, especially with this like cadre of spectators.
What are you expecting, Bryce?
So yeah, Pokemon. As a kid, I remember the cover to this, and Johnny Depp with the scissors on his hand was just terrifying, and I never saw it, so I'm kind of expecting that this is going to be a little intense, a little scary. But no, I've heard it's good.
So with that, we're going to rewatch Pokemon, the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back,
Pokemon.
which is on Google Play, is on iTunes, is not on Netflix. So it might be a good idea for you to pause the podcast, watch the Pokemon movie, and join us when you're done.
Meow, that's right.
Pokemon. Pokemon. We capture you as slaves. You say that's okay.
So we just rewatched Pokemon, the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back. And right off the bat, I think we need to address the elephant in the room. This movie stole a lot from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. So I have like 1,000 questions right now.
I want to know how much of the movie made any sense to you at all.
So I'm watching, I'm like, oh, so some of the Pokemons are evil and some of the Pokemons are good. Is that like a thing?
Well, in the sense that no, Mewtwo is
Mewtwo's the only evil
Mewtwo
one?
is evil because he was misguided. But
And also the plural of Pokemon is Pokemon.
yeah, it's a very it's not
It's
a
like
great
you don't
term.
say Legos.
It's like deer.
It's like deer. There are Pokemon that are owned and controlled by evil people, aka Team Rocket. Not just the Team Rocket we know, Jesse and James, but just the larger entity of Team Rocket. And so they're considered dark Pokemon.
The people with the R's on their shirts.
There's Great Lakes Team Rocket. There's West Coast Team Rocket. Yeah.
Team Magma, Team Aqua. But no, so there are no inherently evil Pokemon to my knowledge, other than Mewtwo, but we can get into that.
So there's this idea, I think, in the games where there's a regular Pokemon and then there's the evolved form of the Pokemon.
Yes.
Yes.
Multiple evolved forms.
Is this the origin of that idea of them evolving?
No.
Is this where that
No.
comes from?
No.
No.
No, they've
Because
got
Mew evolves into Mewtwo.
incorrect.
Nope.
They are two independent.
He's a clone.
Ah.
If that wasn't clear, Mewtwo is a clone.
They
They-
did
No, I got
remind
that.
you.
DNA of Mew.
I understood
So
that.
like Charizard is the evolved form of Charmander.
But there's an
Yes.
interstitial in there too, Charmeleon.
Yeah, so there's multiple.
So this idea
you,
of,
Dalex.
Of course.
creating a clone that's a twisted version of the original has nothing to do with the evolved forms of the Pokemon.
Yeah, nothing plot-wise that you saw in this movie has anything to do with Pokemon.
Okay.
Yeah. It really didn't make any sense because they were like, let's stop fighting. And then cut to the next Pokemon show. They're fighting Pokemon again.
Yeah, it was this. So, I mean, it was a neat idea to take the problem that we all have with Pokemon, which is that it's dog fighting, and like make that the plot of the movie where one of the dogs is like, this isn't right. And then but that's the whole core of the IP is that it's dog fighting. And so the moral of the story is dog fighting is correct. Go home, Mewtwo. And he's like, all
Oh,
right,
Mewtwo, you're drunk.
I get it now. This is cool. Enslave everyone and make them fight for fun.
Right. It's better off if you guys just have amnesia. I'm out of here.
It's better if you forget about this.
Control Z that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it occurred to me watching this movie, you say dog fighting, I was thinking cockfighting. And I'm like, this is like
One and the
really
same.
bad. Like,
Yeah,
you're
it's
capturing
kind of
these
a
animals
fucked
and
up
forcing them to fight?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's-
weird.
I think it's more like professional boxing, you know? They're like
Yeah, but
They're like
nobody goes and
coaches.
captures like
Somebody captured
Mike
Mike Tyson.
Tyson and put him in the ring.
If it
Mike,
were,
get
you
in this ball.
1763.
So you're saying Don King is a Pokemon trainer, and he went and he put, and Mike Tyson, he like throws the ball in the ring and it pops out. Mike Tyson.
It's funny because he does sound like that.
He's
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
a cute little Pokemon accent.
He does.
I think
And then he
Also,
went-
face tattoo. He's the
He
evolved
went to prison.
form.
Yeah,
The
he then
evolved
turned into the
form.
evolved form.
Okay, listeners, that's your job is to draw the Mike Tyson Pokemon and tweet it at us. We want to see this.
Tyson.
Did anyone see the Rock version of Pokemon Go? It was like a Pokemon version of the Rock.
Oh, it's really funny looking.
It's
Yeah.
pretty funny.
So, but also, okay, so we're watching this, and like they had that really terrible, like EDM version of the Pokemon theme song.
That was amazing. I don't know what
The
you're talking
extended
about.
version, by the way, too. There was the full second verse of the song that was included in that.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, they're gonna keep going. But the fight that they were having, I don't know if you remember. There's the big muscly Pokemon, and then little Squirtle blew bubbles at him.
Yeah.
And it like tickled him into submission.
That was Bulbasaur.
What? It was Squirtle. Squirtle bubble.
Yeah,
It was Bulbasaur.
He took his bubble beam to
Bulbasaur.
Machamp, and he just fell unconscious onto the ground.
So that's the kind of friendly fighting that the Pokemon normally do.
Yeah.
They don't like straight up bar fight with each other.
Except for those two little platypus fuckers who just like just slapped a dude in the face. He's like, all right, I see what you're saying. And then just slapped him back. And that was the fight.
That was, the Psyducks.
That was the best part.
Although I did like that
Unrelenting.
that part where Pikachu was just pounding the shit out of that other Pikachu.
And he took it. Real Pikachu took it. And he
It
was,
was-
like, I'm not fighting back. I'm just going to let you beat the shit out of me.
It was like that scene in Fight Club. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
I just wanted to breathe smoke. I wanted to destroy something beautiful. And he's just pounding Jared Leto into the ground.
Which we understand now why he wants to. I'm sure, given that Suicide Squad just came out.
The plot went from let's get to this island so we can fight our Pokemon with these other Pokemon to we're fighting our Pokemon with the other Pokemon to let's stop fighting our Pokemon with the other Pokemon, to, all right, now that that's over, let's keep fighting our Pokemon with other Pokemon. Like, it didn't really resolve.
They had that whole thing with like the nurse Joy comes in and is like this isn't right. Pokemon aren't meant to fight. And it's just
Yeah.
like, you
Fight
fucking
this
serious?
That's exactly
Fight
what they're
in this
meant.
way.
Oh, she said there was a clause to that?
But there was never a point where they were told to fight that way. They were just like, hey, fight, guys. And like, that's just what they did this time.
Yeah, it's weird that Mewtwo
No
was
explanation.
like, I made these clones, now I'm going to fuck your shit up. Why did he not just take...
Yeah, he was like, I'm going to block their powers, even though I know I'm superior. Like, why? Why?
How is this movie so like tone deaf as to what like the Pokemon is actually supposed to be?
I don't understand
It's
anything
so-
about it. The only thing I liked about this movie was that it was dark and kind of like the island was sort of Giger-esque. But then I was like, well, because
Yeah.
Mewtwo is kind of Giger-esque.
I had that in my notes. Like the buildings, the interior, it very much felt like Giger.
Yeah.
It's like,
I appreciated like the I guess the message they were trying to give children, which is like it doesn't matter where you come from or where you're born, like we're all the same. Like
so fight.
I
So
like kind of appreciate like the idea, but then the execution in the long run is exactly what you're saying, is like they still end up fighting.
They had too many messages.
Yes.
Yeah, it was...
They had
Convoluted.
that one. They had fighting is bad. They had slavery is bad, but never mind, it's good.
Yeah.
And
It's not. It's not that slavery is good. It's that we're friends.
this is the
I'm not
this
his
is the
slave, I'm his friend.
strongest pro-slavery propaganda that I've ever seen.
Oh, Brett, take it back.
No, Mewtwo's like, this is slavery. This is fucking awful. And they're like, no, don't worry. Like, we're friends. But like, Mewtwo fucking knows what's going on.
And then he leaves.
my friend.
He leaves with his enslaved Pokemon too. He's like, "Come on, Pokemon, you belong to me
Yeah.
now."
Yeah.
He's clearly the
I made
only
you.
character in this movie, human or Pokemon, that can form a complete sentence. Like, if he says it's slavery, it's probably slavery.
So I think I'm going to say something kind of controversial here. I kind of like this movie.
What? Are you serious?
Like the whole buildup of Mewtwo and where he came from, like there's some really good angst and motivation to that character.
But was it
Like-
clear where he came from?
Yeah, it's like these scientists were fucking around
It was a
trying
joke.
to
Because they explain it so many
oh, yeah, yeah.
times.
4.5 times.
But nevertheless, he's like, I was forced into this world, given these powers, and fuck you, I'm not going to stand in line. And like he's, for a while in this movie, I'm thinking like they can't possibly defeat this villain, which I think is some of the more enjoyable stuff. Like when the villain is so strong, it's like I don't see their way out of this. And although it was a very much a cop-out in the end where he just suddenly changed his mind, he's like, okay, I guess we're all good now. But for a while, I really felt that desperation of like, you can't defeat this villain.
You know,
And he's kind of right.
that totally reminded me of, I don't know if anyone else was, I was not as big into Pokemon as I was into Dragon Ball Z. And I don't know if anyone else here was into Dragon Ball Z, but he totally reminded me of Vegeta. But Vegeta is
Yep.
such a
Vegeta?
better character because he doesn't just flip on a dime, and he's never like 100% like on the good side. He's always got that air of like, that darkness to him. But I think in Dragon Ball Z they did a better job with that sort of character.
And I think it's hard when it's an anime, like that's what you have to like draw the comparison to is other anime.
Yeah.
But the thing I was getting from the Mewtwo thing was really strong, like the X-Men Magneto vibes, where it was
sure.
like
Yes.
the humans need to be exterminated, like, but
We can never get along.
because we're different and like we can't coexist, sort of thing. And like he's not really the bad guy, but like he's just misguided and doing the wrong shit, but with the right motivations.
I think the best villains are good.
Right.
They're doing what they believe is the right thing. And I think Magneto's a perfect example. And as much of a shit show as it was in Man of Steel, they got Zod right. Because Zod was doing the right thing, the only thing to help his people.
Right.
And I think Mewtwo is doing the right thing. He was shit on from the conception of his very existence. And he's like just tearing up the world because fuck these people who think they're going to make me do this other thing. I like that. I thought it was a great character.
I'm on board there. I just don't. I think they got really lost with the whole like cloning thing, and like I missed why that was. I mean, I get why, but like it didn't fit with the rest of it.
I love the oversimplification of the cloning process. Like a tube with colored liquid and it poops out a new Pokemon. Like, that's how cloning works.
And Team Rocket just shouting out the wrong Pokemon names.
Oh my gosh, yeah, they were like Alakazam, and Sam was like, "Nuh-uh."
And
It was a Scyther.
It was a Scyther.
I feel like that was like a script or a production error, but like it could have been a fantastic joke if they had like kept going.
Just all of them. They're naming all of them wrong.
But it was also kind of a fun nod to the fans who watched the show, and they always had that, cut to commercial silhouette, who's that Pokemon, and they come back, and then it's obviously this person because the outline is so iconic. But they did that, and
they had an episode with like Pokemon College or whatever. Remember that one? And it's the funniest joke that was ever on that show. And it was the characters had to solve that. Like, what's this silhouette? And it was just a circle. And they're like Voltorb. And like everybody made a guess. And they're like, incorrect. It's Jigglypuff, as seen from above. And like,
I remember that. Yeah.
Worst pop quiz ever. Yes, that's such bullcrap.
But back to the silhouette thing, like that goes. Like the fact that they're so recognizable in silhouette just shows like how truly wonderful their designs are.
Yeah.
And why it
definitely. Good
became
design.
so fucking popular.
Phenomenal.
They're so damn cute. I'm an adult and I'm like, Pika Pika, oh, it's so cute.
yeah, he was
like,
Pikachu, the best voice actor in the
yes,
movie.
yes.
I'm curious to know if
maybe
the voice
next to Mewtwo.
actor is the same Japanese voice actor, because you don't need to translate that unless the names are
I
different.
don't
in
think
Japanese.
it is. I think I saw the name Victoria.
Oh,
No, Veronica Taylor. No, that's Ash. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm right here, Nick. God.
Okay, so it is the same Japanese voice actor. for
Japanoids.
Pikachu. So you're saying, you're not surprised this is why people got hooked on it, but I think all of this was engineered to get children hooked on it.
Mewtwo was.
But-
It's like
Okay.
pop quiz, which Pokemon is this? It's like training kids to recognize the Pokemon and trying to identify
yeah,
with all
but
of them.
you can't force a kid to like it. All of this fed into their like of the characters, but there's just something instinctual. Like you see little Pikachu and you hear his little voice and you just instantly connect.
And the genius is only really like truly visible in comparison to the other franchises that were following it. Like Digimon, name one.
The T-Rex looking one that's orange.
No idea.
There's.
I can tell you
there
about
were
some Yu-Gi-Oh bullcrap.
there were
I
several.
cannot tell you about any Digimons.
And like all the names in Pokemon are like super clever or like punny, and they went out of their way to make every part of it, from the look to the name to that every creature has a human voicing, like the ridiculous name sound that it makes. Just everything works so well, and there's so many other companies and IPs out there that just don't fucking get why that's the thing that sells it, is because it's appealing.
Yeah.
Because it's self-promoting? Is that what you say? Or
appealing.
I just think it's just appealing. Like Digimon are all ugly.
They
The
suck.
names
They
are
are.
unmemorable.
Same with Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh.
Exodia.
Like, what the hell is that?
White dragon, blue eyes, white dragon.
Like,
I don't
the
know.
Pokemon has
not gonna defend
Charmander. Like, it's lizards, salamander,
Yes.
a
Which
chameleon, and a lizard.
mythologically speaking, salamanders were fire-breathing. Whatever. It's brilliant. It is brilliant.
Yeah, there's so many parts of it that work.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's kind of like to draw a similar parallel just because it's also super popular right now, but Harry Potter, like a lot of the names are pulled, like Sirius Black is like Sirius is like a constellation or something. I believe it means like black dog or something, doesn't it? Or like Lupin. Lupin is the, word for wolf, and like it makes those more memorable for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Harry Potter is appealing in a different way. Like in the way that kids always fantasize about having powers and being more special than they really are in this like unlocked, hidden, magical world.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think the whole thing was very well engineered to just get children hooked on it.
So Nick,
And that culture of, you got to catch them all.
was that's marketing
theme
genius.
Yeah, it was so well executed and it worked in getting so many children hooked.
The perfect storm.
I'm still wearing a shirt that I owned when I was
Yeah.
14.
yeah.
Have you caught them all yet?
I did in the original one. I probably haven't in any of the subsequent ones. But
On Pokemon Go?
I've got. Let's actually check my Pokedex since we're talking about it. Because I caught like 4 Magmar today, which was crazy. There's a whole den of Magmar up in Simi Valley.
I didn't realize, but some of the Pokemon you can only catch on continents that are not this one.
Truth.
Really?
Kangaskhan, Mr. Mime,
So-
and there's another one.
Can you give
I missed an
Pokemon that you
opportunity.
found to somebody else?
Not
Good-
yet.
Not yet.
They're
Okay.
talking about adding that feature.
So it's like, should I have been trying to catch them in Italy and
Yes.
Spain?
I think
yes,
so.
you should
Absolutely,
have.
you should have, because there was, you were probably able to get a Kangaskhan or maybe perhaps Mr. Mime. I don't know. Waving.
We missed our opportunity, Nick.
Or
I
is
have-
it just it's a Pikachu? I'm a Charmander.
I have caught 93, and I have
Wow.
seen 95.
Do you know how
Wow.
many there are totes?
There are not the original 150 to catch in the game. There are just slightly less. I think it's like, but there's someone who's already caught
I'm
it. It was very
pretty
recent.
sure it's 141 or 2.
Yeah, I think it's
And
142.
are they the same basic ones from the original? Like there's
Yeah, they're the
Pikachus
original
and
set.
Charmanders and Squirtles and
Yes.
The ones featured in this
Bubblicious
movie.
Bubblicious.
Bubblicious, yes.
Is that what Squirtle evolves into in his primal? It's his primal phase,
He
actually.
evolves into Bubble Butt, actually. So Nick, do you want to catch them all now?
No. Like, I'm still not really interested in playing a Pokemon game.
I think you would actually enjoy the game.
So I had this analogy in my head, and Bryce kind of ruined it by actually explaining to me how cool Prague is. But before he explained that to me, my analogy was basically Pokemon Go is like Prague. Everybody who's been there says it's awesome, and I'd probably have a great time if I'd go, but I just don't have anything drawing me to it. Except now Bryce has
horrible.
explained Prague to me, and it does sound pretty awesome. But like, it's probably really fun, but there's nothing there that makes me excited about it. Makes me
You'll have
interested in trying it.
Hours of your life that we won't. So maybe you're okay.
Maybe. But I think I've said before on this show, I'm a big proponent of the thing that people love, whether I love it or not. I don't like Big Bang Theory, but I think it's a good force in the world because people love it. So yeah, Pokemon Go is awesome because lots of people freaking love it.
I think they did a really brilliant thing too, where they kind of reinvented the game in a way.
Yeah.
Because
Certainly.
it's like very different than the original Pokemon game.
And you feel like you're finding something in the world.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
forcing you to like go out and like that sense of wonder and like investigate and like mystery is like what will I go out there and find? Like the adventurer's heart is being massaged and given an opportunity for these kids. I mean, it's everything that anybody who played the original game ever wanted. They wanted
Yeah.
to go
Yeah.
out and
in
take
real life, yeah.
spherical objects and throw it at creatures that mythical or whatever, and have them and go and run in their house and be all excited about it.
Totally.
Compare and contrast Pokemon Go with geocaching.
It's not that different. In my opinion, without geocaching, Pokemon Go would never have existed. Like, it is a virtual geocaching.
For me, I can't get into geocaching. I think I don't get into it because I don't feel like I get anything out of it. It's like, oh yeah, here's some trash some people left. Cool. Like, I don't know. It's not like it doesn't interest me, but Pokemon Go, like, here's a Pokemon, I caught it, now it's mine. But geocaching,
Until you update the app.
What?
Until you update the app.
Yeah, until you update the app and they're all
such a
gone.
bummer.
But you know, like geocaching, I don't get that sense of like achievement or pleasure or anything. But for me, the thing I really like about Pokemon Go is actually like the interactions with other people, which sounds like weird, but like Bret and I went to Comic-Con and we're just walking around and it's like that person's playing Pokemon Go, that person's playing Pokemon Go. Suddenly you hear someone be like, oh my God, there's a Ponyta, and everyone pulls out their phones. And it's this like, you know, people have been saying for the longest time, like, oh, we're so absorbed with our phones that we're not connecting. It was kind of an interesting, like, inverse of the experience. Like, yeah, people are absorbed with their phones, but we were all, like, connecting and talking about it. And even, like...
If you walk into a crowd and just shout, Valor!
Yeah.
Like, everyone cheers.
You know, or, like, we'll be driving around and everyone in the car is, like, playing Pokemon Go while the person's driving. And, like, you know, they're all like, oh, look, there's a whatever here. And everyone pulls out their phones and... It's sort of like social, which is cool because that's not really. I haven't seen a mobile game that's been social like
and
that.
that's the.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, contributing to that idea, like my girlfriend and I will go on Poke Walks. Like that's part of our dating thing that we
We've done
do.
that.
Yeah, it's
Totally.
like fun and silly, and you'll see other couples out, and you're like, hey, look at us all being cute, walking around, looking at our phones together.
I'd really like to think that they factored in Comic-Con into the release because it was released just a
Maybe.
few weeks
Oh, they
before
had
Comic-Con.
to.
And that's just such the perfect venue.
Well, and also summer being such an opportune time because kids are out of school, and it's just like it's ripe for exposure. You know what I mean?
You say that, but there was nothing in the convention center.
There was one giant Pokeball.
Not in the convention
Thing.
center. Doesn't
In the Nintendo
Nintendo
Playroom.
have an
Yeah.
offsite?
Usually in the Marriott.
Yeah, and
that
they
was
had a
all they
giant
had,
Pokeball,
one
but that
giant
was it.
Pokeball.
But again, it wasn't Nintendo's property, really. I mean, it's
Yeah.
theirs, but it's Niantic's launch. And also, there's like all those bugs, kind of the early onset release that kind of made it, whatever.
We were the
But-
beta testers.
One of the
Right.
cool things about the game, and everybody complains about not being able to trade Pokemon, but like it's weird because without trading, the only way to really communicate or catch all the Pokemon is by actually talking to people
Yeah.
directly and saying, come to where I am and experience this with me. And when they implement trading in the game, all of this interaction between people is gonna disappear.
That's too bad. Yeah.
Well, unless you have to be like,
You have to meet in person.
right, because that would actually be kind of cool, where you're like physically with someone. Because one of the newer iterations of the Pokemon game franchise that was on the DS, you can Wonder Share, and you just like shoot it off into the ether, and you just randomly send one of your Pokemon, and you randomly get some shit back from China, Germany, Japan, France. It doesn't matter.
It's always a fucking Rattata.
It's always a. Oh God.
So many Rattatas.
So, talking about Pokemon Go and thinking about this movie, it seems like Pokemon Go is about the search and finding, where this movie was about the fighting and never about the searching and finding.
Unless you're
seems to be-
searching inside yourself, like Mewtwo was.
Yeah.
Am I right?
And
search
that
to
is
be the very
interesting
best.
because the Game Boy games, the original ones, I haven't played one since actually I've only played the original ones. But they were focused around like every part of the game was as you're just walking through the map, you have another fight and you have another fight and you have another fight.
Yeah.
You encounter them in the wild.
Yeah, and you fight your way through every step of the game. And this movie is like definitely super based around that concept.
Yeah, because the way the app works is very different than the original game, because you come across a Pokemon in the original game and you battle that Pokemon with your Pokemon, and then if you beat it, and then if you beat it, you capture it. As opposed to how Pokemon Go works, there's none of the fighting. You just encounter the Pokemon and then you capture it.
If they don't want to be caught, they're like mad at you, and you feed them, and then they're your friend again.
Yeah. Pokemon Go's a little more accurate to the story, like the comics and the TV show, because in the TV show they would just be like, oh, it's a whatever in the wild, and then they'd catch it. Yeah. Whereas like in the game you had to like weaken it down in order to be able to capture it. So
you had to crush its spirit.
Yeah.
But then you'd build it back up through friendship.
/ slave master relationship.
Yeah, you'd get rid of its natural name and rename it something of your own. Like, this is a dark game.
Your slave name shall be.
It's a very dark game.
So in this movie, when a Pokemon loses a fight, it's not dead, though, is it? It's just like tired.
Yeah.
We don't talk about death in the Pokemon universe.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, well, we do because Cubone's mother died, and that was the thing. But that's like the only real example I can think of. No, they get knocked out, which is a safe term for kids. And then you can revive them when you go to Nurse Joy and
like any good bar fight.
It's funny because it was the point in the movie where Mewtwo, like one of those Pokemon trainers, is mouthing off, and Mewtwo just like cyclically lifts them up in the air and is holding them. And I'm like, if this is any other movie, that dude is just going to explode into a pink mist. Yeah. And I'm like, what's about to happen here? And then Mewtwo's like, flicks him into a pool.
Yeah.
Because Mewtwo definitely killed, like,
he did kill people
a
in the
whole
beginning.
base of people.
All the scientists.
All the scientists.
Obliterated, that's true, that whole facility.
Yeah, wait, did he kill Giovanni?
That's when I got hooked.
No. Well, I mean, it looked like he did, but Giovanni shows up later.
Yeah, I think Giovanni got away because we saw him run away.
Well, he like ducked into the next room, and then the whole base exploded. So
that's the Kylo Ren thing. Like, if it were any other franchise other than Star Wars, like, we're left to assume that Kylo Ren died on the Starkiller planet.
Spoilers.
Oh my god. If you haven't seen The Force Awakens, do yourself a favor and just go put your head in a lava pit.
I'm gonna bleep that out.
If you're
gonna cut that out.
I'm just gonna bleep it.
But nobody believes for a second that Kylo Ren is dead right now.
No.
Like that, it never crossed my mind.
Never. Not for a second. He's not.
Like, you saying that there was even a possibility that maybe he's dead is blowing my mind. Yeah. Because it's like,
that's what happened in the movie, Bret.
Well,
he died on the planet. That's what happened in the movie. But we never for a second thought of the possibility that he might have died on the planet.
That's impossible! I'm doing my best Mark Hamill.
That's pretty good.
From The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, now I see it.
Where did they get that name from? Did they take the name from this one?
You know, they actually did. They took it from Mewtwo Strikes Back.
Did Mewtwo actually strike back?
I was thinking that. He just striked.
Yeah.
He struck back at the scientists.
I feel like but they did not strike
him. But back
him.
implies that he striked another time.
No,
he was basically birthed into existence and then struck.
Oh, yeah.
He was born and said, fuck this.
Yeah. Hey, your mom's listening.
Not anymore, she's not.
Right.
I loved so much of this movie, and then it just took that sharp turn where I didn't care about it at all anymore. And I just kind of loathed the entire experience / translation / everything about it.
It did kind of run out of steam.
Did the sharp turn happen because of the soundtrack?
Oh, that didn't help. No, that was bad too. This like brother on brother.
Yeah, it's kind of shoehorned in there.
Ash knows it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Brother, my brother. Oh. So good. Sam pointed out, and I think you had a really good point. Is it felt like they took the content of just an episode, and tried to stretch it out. And I wonder if like, is that why they explained so many things over and over again? Because they're like, we need to fill some time,
and it was all exposition.
Yeah,
but they need to explain some stuff to the granted rare amount of people who are seeing that movie without knowing anything else about
parents?
Pokemon.
But they took
But
that
they
too far.
No.
Maybe. But that is your obligation in a movie.
No. That is a completely different thing than what I'm talking about. They showed us what happened to Mew, and then they continued to explain what happened to Mew multiple times through the movie. And they did that with multiple other things where, like, something would happen, and then a character would explain to us what happened.
Yeah.
And then
Why are
another
you even
character,
trying to fight?
Yeah,
These are
like-
clones of your Pokemon, but I've made them better.
like just over and over again. And like, I don't know if maybe just children's movies are more advanced now, but I just felt so dumbed down. Like, in case you didn't understand, let's tell you again.
Yeah. And I think they did that too much and maybe too little of what I needed, which is explaining what the fuck is going on in the Pokemon universe.
Because they never really explained Team Rocket for somebody who doesn't understand.
Yeah, they were just there for color commentary.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is Team Rocket's usually our window into like they would explain what's going on, and it was too direct. I think if they had done all of that through Team Rocket, it might have been more entertaining.
How do you mean? I'm
So like because they tried to do it where like we could have skipped all of the explanation of what happened in the beginning and just had Mewtwo being like wait, what's going on? Like I'm a clone, this sucks, and then not had 20 minutes of that at the beginning, and then later on in the movie, Team Rocket actually discovers the clone lab, and they're like, oh shit, it's clones, and like that fully explained it, but it was so much more entertaining, like in the movie than the Mewtwo re-explaining that he's a clone and he doesn't like it for 20 minutes at the beginning. Like I felt it, and it was like Nick really liked the angst of it, but it went on too long, I think.
Well,
and then they kept saying it over and over and over and over. This
It
can't be my
literally
destiny. This
played the
can't be
same
my
note
destiny.
like twice in the beginning. You know, like it could have just been the first scientist, and then we would have been good.
He exploded two bases.
But then the other guy shows up, and it's like, we just did this. We don't need it again. You know.
And then like a friggin' idiot, Giovanni's like, you're actually my fighting slave, and like knowing that.
Yeah, why did he tell him that?
not the thing you want to tell an all-powerful psionic powered Pokemon.
I actually felt like it was a little bit like Raising Arizona, where you had like this really, really long sequence before the opening titles ever appeared on screen. And it was a really awesome opening sequence. Like everything before the opening titles, both in this and in Raising Arizona, that long intro is awesome. Now, Raising Arizona continued to be a consistently awesome movie from then on.
Yeah.
But I do think this like really ran out of steam after a very awesome intro and an awesome introduction to that character.
I think you should check out Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, because I think it was a really cool intro, and it was just in the wrong movie.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, because as soon as that title card was off the screen and it's like, here's Ash and he's having a picnic with his pals. It's like, did we change the channel? It was a very big shift. And actually, that was what I expected to see in this movie. So when we saw that intro and I'm like, oh, there's some meat on the bones here. Like I started getting excited. And then after that title card, it's like,
It's gone.
oh, okay. Yeah, so not... And I guess you were saying this, Dalex, like the tone was a little inconsistent.
Yeah, it felt really inconsistent in terms of like you said, we have this awesome opening, and then we flash back to really what we expect from the episodes. And then we have all this music that just felt crammed in there, and then we end with Christina Aguilera, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
It's kind of like DuckTales, except the villain was fucking Hannibal Lecter. You know? It's which now I really want to see. He'll make some glazed duck and...
Oh.
That got really dark fast.
Yeah.
This is a random thought I've been thinking about for a while, and it doesn't really apply to anything, but I'm going to share it. Sometimes I would see pictures of like artists' renditions of photorealistic Pokemon. I never before thought of what a Mew might look like in real life until tonight, where I was watching this, and I was like, you know what it probably is? It's probably a really long-tailed Sphinx cat that flies like a hairless cat.
Just a cat.
That just whips around the universe and looks terrifying.
That's the sound it makes. It's just meow.
One time I was in a vet. The
You
vet.
were in a vet? Whoa.
I was in the veterinary office
Okay.
with my animal, and I'm sitting there in the waiting room, and there's a woman sitting next to me, and she's holding a cat. I swear to God, the cat is like looking forward, and then the cat just kind of nonchalantly turns and looks me right in the eye, and it goes, "Meow." Just like that. And I almost lost my shit right there.
That's fantastic.
Wow. That sounds like something that would happen in a Studio Ghibli movie.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was very surreal.
Kiki.
Meow.
Yeah. Meow.
Like he's
Meow,
stealing the
see?
Chinese room.
Right. German Meow.
So it seems like
Yeah.
nobody particularly liked this movie.
It's potential.
Yeah.
Sloughed off into Crapsville.
So yeah, I liked parts of it, and I would put this movie between DuckTales and Goofy Movie. Better than DuckTales, certainly nowhere near as good as Goofy Movie.
Better than DuckTales?
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Okay, hold on,
Be-
guys.
better than the
Fucking
DuckTales movie.
reality here. Better than DuckTales.
Better than the DuckTales movie.
I disagree.
Not the show. The
Yeah,
show's awesome.
Yeah,
But
we're
the
not talking
movie-
about. We're talking specifically about that
Oh,
magic
I know
lamp
you're talking
movie.
about the movie. I just
This
disagree.
movie had so much more plot and like stuff actually at risk
No,
and like
there
characters I
actually
cared
was
about.
way less plot. As Sam pointed out while we were watching it, there more happens in the ending credits than does in the movie. The plot was get to the island, battle the dude, and they did that. And that was the whole plot, as opposed to DuckTales.
That was
has,
the whole
like, a
conceit, but the plot was a discussion about slavery with kids, which is really like deep for a kids movie. Even though they came to the conclusion that slavery was the right thing to do.
DuckTales.
But-
They
DuckTales
have
had
an
the same
enslaved genie.
Yeah, they had the same
That they
thing, and
free
it
at
actually
the end.
had the
Oh,
better
yeah.
moral. And on top of that, it had an A plot and a B plot. This movie didn't even have a B plot,
This
unless
movie
you call
was a
Team
B plot.
Rocket a B plot. But that was
Absolutely.
not, you know.
Commentary.
I would argue that DuckTales has way more plot.
Controversy.
There is the beyond just the slavery talk. Mewtwo often in this movie casts light on it doesn't matter where you come from; it's what you do with your power. And I think he said that even like almost verbatim at the end. And he's like, it doesn't matter that I was genetically engineered. I'm just gonna go and be a good guy now somewhere else.
Does he come back later in the show?
I can't remember, to be honest.
He says it doesn't matter where you come from, and then forcibly separates all the clones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's probably like, this was a bad idea. Because, like, you saw the clone Meowth talking to regular Meowth, and you're like, oh, clearly you did not get all of the genetic material that you needed, because you're, like, barely putting your little Meows together. It's
And
bad.
did we see a clone of Pikachu?
Yes, that was
Okay.
the one that was beating the living daylights
Yeah.
out of regular Pikachu.
Because there was a moment where I was like, I noticed there's only the good Pikachu. There's no evil Pikachu. And then, like, almost immediately, there was the evil Pikachu. Okay, I'm wrong. I'm wrong about that.
Yeah, I don't remember the process by which he got sucked into the tubes, though. You're right. I don't remember that happening.
Well,
Ash chased him
Yeah,
in there
Ash
and
chased
pulled
him
out.
in, and it like still took a sample while he's like trying to
So
fight
that
it.
still appeared on the screen.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that did happen. Because they were like, it's Pikachu. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that did happen.
So, what are your final thoughts, Ash Ketchum?
Just had to get that one in there, didn't you? I'm not a fan. I definitely, the end brought back memories with that soundtrack. I remember hearing that soundtrack, but I don't like this. I don't think I would show this if I had children.
I don't like this.
I don't think I'd show it to them. I don't feel like it was very well thought out, and I don't think it really has a great message, really, in the end.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
What do you think, Brett?
Yeah, this kind of sucked. And it was, I feel like I'm repeating something I said about another movie, but it was two halves of like, it was a half of a good movie that was, like deep brooding Mewtwo story, and then half of like a really dorky normal Pokemon adventure. But it was both of the less interesting halves of both of those movies
Yes.
crammed together.
Totally.
Yeah. I like
Yeah,
that.
it was just boring.
So yeah, it sucked. And there's no redeeming that it sucked, and but it feels almost completely like a production error. Like it could have been a really good movie because it had all of the elements to be a good movie, but then it had that soundtrack. And in the context of knowing that the same people who made the sound, like put that soundtrack together, also designed the rest of the film, it's so clear that they didn't know what Pokemon was before they started making this movie.
No, I disagree.
Like-
I think the Japanese knew, and then the Americans didn't. 'Cause,
Yeah, I
like,
want to know if the dub is different.
absolutely, it's gotta be.
Gotta be. And I almost want to watch the subtitled Japanese one just to kind of like maybe salvage it.
You can tell that the title sequence was made for Americans too, because it was all CG and it was all in English, and so they had to have remade it for us in the U.S.
And maybe there are cultural differences where the tone of this movie works.
Totally.
You know, I heard something really interesting where Shakespeare really liked mixing genres. So, like, Taming of the Shrew is really funny, but gets really dark. And at that time, that's just how they told stories. And now it's very difficult to make movies of Shakespeare stuff because audiences hate that. Like, you can't be funny and then have this dark, you know, almost rape scene.
In the defense
So-
of anime, I will say that such extreme tonal shifts are totally normal in anime.
Right. So maybe in Japan, they're comfortable with that, with the weird tone that we felt here.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
maybe that's why I generally don't like anime, because the tone never feels right for me.
I mean, I'll use Dragon Ball Z again as an example. Dragon Ball Z can get super serious and heavy, just like the beginning of this movie, but then it'll also get like super and silly. And, you know, it's also very much like anime to have a main character who's obsessed with food. Like, that's totally a classic anime thing. You know, it's.
Apparently, it's also a classic '80s thing.
The fat kid that's always
Yeah.
obsessed
Yeah.
with food.
Also, a lot of DBZ can get super tedious, like parts of
Yeah.
this movie did.
Yeah, totally. I'm charging my laser.
Friggin' Spirit Bomb. Oh my god. six episodes
Yep. They really started to stretch it out.
of the main character of the show standing still with his hands in the air, while the villain
Oh, no,
stands
serious.
directly in front of him, not fighting him, saying, "What are you doing?" Yes.
I'm cooking something up.
Vegeta,
And then
what is the
no,
power
this is
level?
Goku stands with his hands in the air for 6 episodes, and at the end of the episode, just goes, "Ha!" and like throws this giant space meteor onto the villain, like he didn't see it coming.
What?
And like,
Not kidding.
this is
What is happening meanwhile? They're cutting to this, right?
it's. I mean, it's real.
There's other
like you're there
characters.
real time watching it for like probably half of each of the episodes, and I feel like there's. If you cut out all of the recaps and stuff, there's probably a solid like 20 or 30 minutes of just that.
But there's like other characters and other shit going on with other characters.
Yeah.
But that's like the main battle. But I'll tell you, it put you on the edge of your seat because when that meteor finally came down, you're like, oh shit, he finally did it.
Yeah, and then it was followed by like 2 or 3 really great episodes. But
Yeah.
like, there's so much filler.
Totally.
So what did you think, Sam?
I think it was better than I expected. I definitely thought the opening was way better than the rest of the movie, but I still kind of stand by my initial assessment, which was there wasn't really enough plot to like fill the whole thing. Now, if you think about it, there were no like big reversals that they had to overcome. It was all kind of linear.
Totally.
There was one big unmotivated reversal at the end with Mewtwo.
Totally.
Yeah, the normal episode would have been like, oh, hey, we got an invite to this island. Hey, you're not a trainer. And like, it would have been over in the 22 minutes and not an hour and a half or whatever this was. How long was it? It felt so long.
75 minutes.
It's
Really? It was-
only an hour and 15 minutes, but boy, did it feel like 2 days.
Ooh.
All right, so Dalex, how did you feel?
I know why I can't remember any of it before today.
There's nothing to
In
remember.
In my youth, I left the theater, the door swung behind me, and I blocked all of it out. That has to be it. I don't know what else to rationalize why I didn't remember a single thing about
Well,
that. And then I saw it, I was like,
Mew
oh
wiped
my
your
God.
memory, so it's best that you don't remember.
Yeah, he literally said, you probably want to go ahead and forget this happened. And you, as a child, were like,
Okay.
agreed.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
Moving
go back to my Game Boy Pocket and sit in direct sunlight so that I can see it and just play what I love because I love capturing and enslaving Pokemon to fight each other.
Did I ever show you I got off of eBay a modded Game Boy Advance with a backlight? And it's the most glorious thing ever.
They're genius, and it's a shame that it didn't come out sooner.
Yeah.
And that it took third-party
And
people.
yeah, it's not an official release.
Not
It's
at all.
somebody modded it, and I bought it off of eBay, and it's fucking great.
No, those
I
are
highly
great.
recommend it.
I want to see yours, and I want to play that. I didn't love it, but I mean that's not true. I loved the beginning, but then that's kind of a unanimous note. I also have this huge problem with what this inexplicable power, this ricochet shot of energy that turned Ash to stone, and then all of the tears of Pokemon, clone or not, floated into resuscitating him after Pikachu tried to lit his shit on fire.
They just cloned him is what happened.
Well, that felt to me like an important note of tragedy for the film that they pulled their punches on. Like, of course, they're not going to kill Ash because they need him for the other 19 years of the TV show. But if this were a standalone movie, that would be a great point of tragedy. And I don't know. There was a major film this summer. I'm not going to say the name, but where there was like a point of tragedy where I felt like they pulled their punches on it, and it was kind of a bummer. I don't want to spoil things.
Pokemon the movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back, used confusion, and it was super effective.
What do you think, Bryce?
Mewtwo strikes out.
So thanks for joining us for another episode of Let's Rewatch. We're going to do this every 2 weeks, so be sure to subscribe on your Stitchers or iTunes or Google Plays.
Yeah, if you enjoyed the show, it's part of the Last Ash TV network of content. We have a YouTube channel, Last Ash TV, where we have a drinking show, Let's Drink, where me and Ash get super drunk with friends.
Yay.
We also have video game parodies and a cooking show. It's worth checking out. That's Last Ash TV on YouTube.
At Laughstash TV on Twitter. And also you'll see Dalex
I'm
in
there.
lots of our videos.
All over the place.
He's all over the place in there. And Dalex, where can people find you?
You can find me on the interwebs, usually at TurtleCom related things. That's our Ninja Turtles related podcasting experience. It's on iTunes, also the Instagram, Twitter kind of, and at Dalex the Alien on Twitter.
Yeah, and you can follow this podcast at Let's Rewatch on Twitter. And please send us your movie suggestions. We love to hear suggestions if there's some movies you think we should check out. We've already done quite a few. In fact, we just released The Last Starfighter, which was one that was a suggestion. So please send them in. You can also email them to letsrewatch@gmail.com.
And if you liked listening to us more than we liked watching Pokemon, then please...
Then you're a normal human being.
then please go ahead and review us on iTunes or Libsyn or Google Play Music.
Have you guys set up your MySpace yet?
So be sure to join us again in another 2 weeks for more Let's Rewatch.
Next week, we'll be watching Bela Lugosi meets a Brooklyn gorilla.
Wow.
Oh, there's a gorilla.
Hello, how are you doing?